right, guys, we got Warren here. It's nice to finally meet you, man. We've been talking for years.
We've been talking for years online, but you're Vegas, I'm LA, so now we finally get to hang out.
Yeah, dude. And you've put me on to biohacking, man. The sauna that I bought has been great, so thanks for that.
Absolutely, yeah. Heavenly heat sauna, so there's no, like, very low VOCs, no glues, no plywood, Canadian hemlock wood. So we try to make the best saunas in the world. And yeah, me and my wife use it probably 5 days a week. We have an indoor one and an outdoor one.
I love it.
So super
Dude,
fun.
that sauna just feels clean. Like there's no weird smell or anything. Like they found mold in the Lifetime sauna I used to go to.
See, that's so sad because people think they're getting healthier by detoxing, but it's like if you're in a low quality sauna, you're actually breathing in all these glues and VOCs and kind of making it worse in some cases.
Yeah.
So yeah, we strive to make the best. We just launched one that combines grounding, sauna, and and red light. So there's a red light panel built into the wall. So me and my wife, we have so many health protocols. You know, that's been really nice to stack it. So in like half an hour, we can get 3 in 1.
I love that. Yeah, you said you have a wellness center in your house now, right?
It is crazy. So our home is like a longevity, like health haven. So we have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber in our master bedroom. We sleep in a Faraday cage. So we sleep in this cage that blocks the EMFs every night. So that's been different.
Wow. So even if your phone's next to you, it blocks it?
We sleep with the phone on the other side of it, but yeah, it will block it, which is nice.
That's nice because a lot of people sleep with their phone right next to their head.
That is so scary. You should not do that. Like I know RFK had that whole thing about EMFs and whatnot, and people kind of thought he was crazy or think he's crazy. But if you look at the science and really start to think for yourself, it's like, okay, the data like actually shows something is not great.
Yeah, those hyperbarics are no joke, dude.
Yeah, we got a hard shell. So I try to do it about 3 to 5 times a week. And the hyperbaric, we have a PEMF thing that we do. We just sit there and you get charged. So that we try to do every morning. We like, journal, read the Bible, like 20 minutes, sit in that chair. And it just essentially, it's like grounding on steroids. So doing that will help with like, cellular health, helps us sleep better, helps with recovery. But I married my wife last year and she's a longevity expert. So I was already like healthy, but now it's like a whole other world.
Yeah.
Like I haven't had Diet Coke in a year.
Crazy. And you married your wife within 5 months of meeting her.
Yeah, we matched last May. We matched online, and 3 months later in August, I proposed to her.
What gave you that conviction so quick?
So we both started dating each other in our 30s, so we knew what we were looking for. We're also both Christians, so we were really intentional with, okay, I want someone that shares my faith. We kind of each had our own checklist, not like stringent legalistically, but we both knew what we wanted.
Yeah.
So I flew out to Cleveland after we matched on Raya.
Oh, she was all the way in Cleveland.
She was in Cleveland and I was in LA. So she co-owns a health clinic out there.
Got it. Because I don't know how Raya works. I thought it was location based.
It is, but the thing about Raya is it purposely matches you with people all over. So people in LA will match with people in France. And
damn.
Yeah, it's weird. But you do, and you have 10 days to talk, otherwise it goes away.
Okay.
So she had messaged me, and then the next day I saw it and replied, and I think that was on like day 8 or 9. So thank God that
you waited
we didn't
8 days.
miss. Well, no, I just didn't check it.
Oh, okay.
Because I was working a lot, she's working a lot, but it was very much matter of fact. She said hi.
That was the opening line.
That was her opening line was hi. I then said, "Wow, you look like a catch. Are you a Christian and do you want kids?"
What a response to that.
And yeah, it was just very much like no games. Like, okay, I know what I'm looking for. She said, yes, I want a lot of kids and I'm a Christian. And I said, hey, I'm flying to Chicago in 2 weeks. I'll stop in Cleveland. I would love to meet you. And our first date was that weekend. I gave her a kiss. The next date, she was in LA 2 weeks later. And then we just interviewed each other with like, not in a weird way, but like, hey, I have all these questions. Would love to get to know you. Third date, I asked her to be my girlfriend. Fourth date in Austin, I think that was when I proposed. No, that was 6th date, so there were a few more in between.
Wow.
But
impressive,
yeah, we both,
man.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to get that stuff out early, I feel like, because why would you be in a relationship for years and then still have those questions in your head?
Yeah, and a lot of people, especially in LA, will just date and they do it so selfishly. It's like, what's in this for me? How do you make me feel? But at the end of the day, real love, in my opinion, if you look, scripturally, it's more so about giving your life for someone else. So, I feel like my role is to daily surrender my needs for hers, and I put her needs ahead of mine. And when she does that also with what, we feel her role is, it's a beautiful thing when we have that, unconditional love, as opposed to, oh, well, I love you because you make me feel a certain way.
Right.
Well, what happens when the feeling goes away? right? So your relationship needs to be built on something greater than fulfilling your selfish needs.
I love that. Have you been in LA for a while?
So I grew up in Illinois, and I moved to LA in 2010. So I've been in LA for about 14 years now.
Wow, you stuck it out through COVID. Hats off to you, man.
Thank you.
I couldn't stick it.
Yeah, you came over here.
I
right?
came here. I couldn't handle it. But is it back to what it used to be, like the peak LA?
It's a little better. Gascon is now out, which is great. So I'm hoping that crime will get better, the homelessness will get cleaned up a little bit. But it's not back to what it was pre-COVID, but we're getting there.
Because that was the peak.
That was the
like
peak.
Every day of the week there was something. The networking was phenomenal. People
Yeah, like Craig's like Catch. Everyone was going to dinners, like nightlife. But then when COVID hit, it just went crazy downhill.
Yeah, I feel like they probably handled it the worst out of every state in the country.
Yeah, they were definitely one of the absolute worst. I mean, everyone left.
Yeah.
So many people in our space they were entrepreneurs in like the digital scene. They would go to Nashville or Austin or Florida was a big one. We're still there. Once we start having kids, who knows where we'll end up. So
Yeah.
we're still praying about that.
Nice. So you got, 5 months. That's the quickest I've ever heard. So well
Yeah,
done.
5 months was our marriage. 3 months was getting engaged. So, I proposed to her 3 months after we matched on Raya, and it's been history since
Rest is
then.
history.
So how about you though? Are you dating?
So yes, 7 years in. Just
Wow.
got engaged 2 years ago.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Getting married next year, so I think it'll be 8 years when we get married.
Nice.
And then I want kids probably a year or two after that. We've discussed that already.
Okay.
So
You guys want like 2 or 4? Or
at
1?
least two.
At least 2.
One boy,
okay.
one girl.
Yep.
Hopefully, but
Yeah, I think if
whatever happens, happens.
Good. Okay, so you're open to to whatnot.
I mean, as a
Okay.
guy, a lot of guys just want boys,
Yeah, I think there's a big cultural situation where a lot of people view kids as a burden, and then some people will view kids as a blessing. And I think if you view them as a blessing, and if you get to having 3, then it's like, okay, if you have 3, you're outnumbered. And then it's kind of the same as 5 or 6, because I'm the oldest of 6. And,
Wow.
and that's what my parents said, is they said, well, once you have 3 or 4, if 4 is like the same as 6, you have hand-me-downs, so it's like,
Yeah. Did you feel like with 5 siblings, you got enough attention from your parents growing up?
So I felt that way. I was the oldest, and we were homeschooled. So we also socialized each other and hung out a lot with each other. That is a concern for some parents that might think they might not be able to be there. But I honestly don't think that should be a reason to not really have kids, because you can show up for your kids. It's like I guess if you're really strained financially and you don't have that aspect of your life locked down, or you're not blessed in that way, then you might want to focus on that first, which a lot of guys should do. Well, I talk to guys that are dating when they're younger, they don't have a career yet, and I'm like, okay, well, just lock that down, focus for a year or 2, and then date with intention. Because when you're not dating with intention, you're stringing these girls along. That's fine if you're upfront about it, but that's not ultimately what I think God's best is for you. I think you should want to be a provider, a protector. And then once you're able to provide for a family and provide for a woman, I mean, she can have a job too, obviously, and then you do it together. But then you can date with intention, and that's so much healthier and cleaner and exciting than dating, knowing, oh, I'm not going to get married for 10 years.
Right.
Or, oh, I'm going to date her, but she's not my wife. Okay, well, does she know that? Because if not, you're being a dick.
Right. It's a good point. Yeah, the birth rates are at an all-time low, right? It's like 1.8 or something.
They are.
So at this rate, people are dying quicker than births. So.
And do you think that's cultural, or do you think that is more like health-related? Like
both,
our
I'd
food?
say. Definitely the programming, like promoting like hookup culture and like the single life, hooking up with as many people as possible. But also just, the food and the environment for sure play a role, because the autism rates are up, the health conditions are at really bad numbers. So.
Why do you think we live in a day and age where hookup culture is so rampant?
That's a good question. I mean, there's been a couple big figures, like back in the day it was Playboy, then for our generation it was Dan Bilzerian, people like that, just promoting it, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that influenced a lot of people. Also, the college setting of like just getting drunk at these parties, and trying to fit in and hook up with people.
And the rise of all the apps.
Pretty normalized.
Yeah, it's normalized, and it's not healthy. Also, everyone's got a smartphone, so a lot of guys are addicted to porn.
Access to porn is easy.
Which is horrible and not healthy at all.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the first things I will tell guys if they're serious about turning their life around is get rid of porn with every fiber in your body, because that infiltrates other aspects of your life.
Yeah, have you seen the brain scans of people that are porn addicted?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like worse than a cigarette smoker.
It's scary.
It's actually nuts.
Yeah.
But people don't think of it that way.
No. Well, there's also this thing of like, oh, every guy watches porn or everyone watches porn. It's like, no, they don't. Like, you know, it is a choice. You don't have to partake. I mean, most everyone has seen it at one point, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of guys and a lot of people are addicted, but it's you know, a craving that will never be, you know, satiated with the consumption of more of it. And it keeps getting worse and worse. And it's just, if you want to get married and have a fulfilling relationship 10 years down the line, you know, when you get older, it's like, okay, do the things now to prepare yourself and become the person you're looking for is looking for.
Absolutely.
And that starts with today. That doesn't start next year. That doesn't, you know, could have started a few years ago. Hopefully it did. But if not, you can still start today and just get rid of porn.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And then you had the red pill movement, you had the feminism movement. So just a lot of different narratives, you know, entering people's minds.
Yeah, the red pill movement. That's a big topic.
The
too.
OOF movement as well. That became really mainstream. You know.
What was that? Was that no FAP or was that
no OnlyFans?
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
no FAP was probably a good thing, but
It was a great thing.
I remember that one.
No,
People don't talk about that one anymore.
Yeah, that was a weird thing to talk about. But, well, dude, congrats on the podcast. You guys were top 5 today, right?
Yeah, number 5 on Spotify. We finally got ranked on Spotify.
Nice.
Yeah, because we've been good on Apple, but Spotify couldn't crack it. But now we're chilling.
Yeah, I saw like Jordan Peterson was ahead of you. I'm like, okay, well,
I'm in good company.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, I think Mel Robbins, and like a couple other big ones. So
his Jordan's new book just came out. So
I gotta check that out. I love his show, and even his daughter. I watched his daughter. Is it Michaela?
Michaela Peterson.
Yeah, Michaela. Yeah, she's bright. So, and I love what he's doing with education.
Yeah, because that university, has it officially launched yet?
It's launched, and I think we need to challenge the traditional education system. So anything like that, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, like with my kids, with my future kids, like I don't even know if I'm going to encourage them to go to a traditional university unless they specifically want to be an engineer or a doctor. It's like, let's just, you know, start a business together or like something like that.
Even that path is mind blowing. I mean, the suicide rates and the pressure is insane.
Yeah.
I saw it with my stepbrother try to go to med school, both of them, and they just
really,
it's tough on you mentally, dude. And you don't make money for 10 to 15 years. You're actually losing money. You're in debt.
Yeah.
So you don't. It's a tough lifestyle, man. But we obviously need doctors. So.
Did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or what was your path?
I think for sure. I never had a job, dude. Never worked for someone else, which is crazy. I remember my mom made me call. Have you heard of Wegmans?
Yeah.
It's on the East Coast. So I don't know if you knew about it, but she made me call them for an interview, and I just bombed it on purpose. Like I didn't want the job for cashier.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I never wanted to work for someone.
So how did you get your work ethic then?
My mom's an immigrant, so definitely from her. She used to scrub the floor, do the dishes, all the dirty work. And my dad was an entrepreneur on the side, so he would get home from work and work like 8 more hours. Whoa. So both of them worked mad hard.
Damn.
Yeah, so I definitely got it from them. Yeah, that's something people ask me, like, can you teach that? Dude, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that a lot. Like, because we want to have a lot of kids, and it's like, how do you teach grit and strong work ethic?
I think it's through observation, because I don't know if you could like physically sit down with someone and like teach them how to work hard.
Yeah.
You know, like you could tell them, but are they going to do it?
Yeah, it's also tricky because we want to provide for our families well and give our kids opportunities we didn't have. But at the same time, part of what turned us into what we're at right now is through not having everything. So it's like, how can we be blessed with our finances and make good decisions, but then not maybe give our kids everything that they want. So I'm trying to figure out like, where's that line? Like, do you get them a car or a used car or make them pay for it and save up for it? So it's like,
they need that edge, right? Even though I grew up middle upper class, I didn't get handouts. It's like I got shelter and food. That was great. But other than that, like no allowance or cars or anything fancy.
So you didn't get a car when you turned 16 or anything?
No, and everyone else in my town did. So that kind of gave me that chip to work hard, I think.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
What about you?
I think that's it. No, I didn't have it. I mean, I had 3 jobs. I was like a Little League umpire and a lifeguard, and I was a golf caddy. That's how I went to college. I went to Northwestern Film
Caddies
School.
make decent money, right?
Caddies make decent money, yeah. But I mean, it was brutal. You go out twice a day, you know, walking, carrying bags in the sun. But that's how I went to college. And then I was at WME for 3 years, sat next to Ari Emanuel for a year and a half. He's like the real life Ari Gold.
You must have learned a lot with him.
I mean, he's like basically as intense as the Ari Gold in Entourage.
Yeah.
I mean, he would, and his team would be yelling, and it was assistants would get fired every day and go in the bathroom and cry.
Got
but
trauma from that, I bet.
Yeah, it was very traumatic. I mean, that culture is not allowed to exist today.
Yeah.
But man, was that an intense few years. But it really helped, kind of, mold me into the person I am today. Which
you
is
had to grow
nice.
up quick.
I had to go up really quick. Yeah, I mean, suit and tie every day, 7 a.m.
Damn.
Not getting overtime. You're on the phone with your boss all day long as he's rolling calls, and he would park for a meeting. I'd run down to park his car because he had to save 2 minutes to go upstairs in the elevator. Couldn't park his own car, and Paris Hilton would come in for a meeting, and she'd ask for black coffee with whatever. So I'd go to the kitchen and get it. But then my boss would be yelling at me, "What's going on with this?" And I'm 22, just graduated film school. I'm trying to be making eventually TV or movies, but you got to start at the way bottom. So it's 3 years of just a total crazy environment.
Wow. Was that kind of humbling for you?
It was very eye-opening. You definitely learn the entertainment industry by working at a talent agency. But after a few years, I saw things were going more digital. So I actually went over to work at Yahoo for a few years, and then I worked at Full Screen. I created a lot of YouTube shows with some pretty big, digital people.
Nice.
And I started an agency. We made the Sway House. A few of them are here tonight.
Yeah.
And
you guys crushed it with Sway. That was like a revolutionary. Were you like the first big house?
That was a moment. It was Hype House and us. It was, it was Josh and Bryce and the gang, and then Michael Gruen and Jason and Tall. Like, we all came together. We rented this home, put 6 of the guys in the home. They were already friends beforehand, and that was like a month later, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So it was like this moment in time where everyone was getting on TikTok. They were already on TikTok, crushing it, but then their growth just skyrocketed. Like, they were growing. Like, when we started the Sway House, I think all of them were between 1 and 10 million on TikTok. Now they're all 20 million plus. But on Instagram, I think Josh was the only one at 1 million. Everyone else was like below 1 million. Now they're all 5 to 10. So they really grew during the COVID years.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a moment. And then today, I've co-founded a marketing agency, and then we have Heavenly Health for saunas, and got married. So I'm in a much different place in my life now. I'm 36, but when I was 31, I lived in the home for a year because we got kicked out of so many homes. The Sway House did. We couldn't get a lease without an adult living on the property. So
because they were all like 18, right?
They were 17 to 20.
Yeah.
So the whole gang.
So that must have been chaos.
Blake, Noah. Yeah, I mean, Triller was awesome. That came in and helped to rent a few of the homes, but we had security 24/7. It was living in a frat house, except it was just cameras every day. And these guys were massively famous to the point where they didn't realize how famous they were at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, they would say, "Oh, we're gonna go film this thing at like a grocery store or whatever," and I'm like, "No, you can't do that because you're gonna. First off, it's COVID, so we can't go out, which is a whole other topic. Not everyone abided by that necessarily.
Oh, definitely not.
But it's crazy how that was like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah, it feels like an eternity, but I still remember like their videos from back in the day. Man, they would get a lot of views.
Yeah, because they were on everyone's For You page, and everyone was downloading TikTok. So they were, that was, like Addison and Charlie, and then, Bryce and Blake, Noah, all of them were just got so many followers, and it was a very special moment.
That was just like good timing combined with like good people behind them.
Yeah. I mean, they had great work ethics themselves, and then we tried to help create a good infrastructure, but it was just, they were all so young, and I mean, because they became famous so quickly.
Right.
So they like went on tour in like the summer of 2019, but they had like just graduated high school. They were deciding not to go to college, and then their careers just blew up.
Yeah.
But it's a little weird for a few of them because some of them would have like 90% female audiences. So
Noah, right?
Yeah. I mean, all of them at the beginning were kind of at that 90-10 thing where it's like, you have a ton of female fans. But then it's like when it comes to brand deals, it's like, okay, well, what kind of brand deal do you do with a male talent when their audience is like 95% female?
Yeah.
They're not going to do beauty, or
That's
funny.
funny.
So
they've done well over the years though, especially Bryce and Josh have like branching off into podcasts and things.
Yeah, Josh is crushing it. I mean, he's got Crosscheck Studios. He's got BFFs with Portnoy and Breeze, and I mean, he's played in this a few times. The CPT. Bryce has fighting and a handful of other things, so he's been crushing it. Does a lot of Snap these days. And then, I mean, Noah and Blake both do their own stuff with modeling and apparel stuff. Noah's got a company. Griffin moved to Florida, so he's with Macy, does some fishing, and a slower, different life compared to LA. But actually, he's in like Miami, so it's not necessarily slower. And then Anthony's chilling. And
you think you'll ever bring it back one of these days?
I mean, that's up to them. I mean, I was just helping them do it. And, but I mean, there's a Sway reunion. Like, I mean, that's up to.
Well, the Phase guys are bringing it back, and they're looking like they're pulling it off.
Yeah. I mean, those guys have really been around a while and stayed relevant and done a great job.
I'm impressed. I actually doubted their comeback. I'm not
Really?
gonna lie. I mean, just like the stock tank, and everyone was talking negatively, and I bought into it. I was like, but damn, you can't bet against Banks.
Yeah, no, Banks he's a force. He's a force.
Yeah, he's different. Lacey's here right now, and they're getting crazy numbers on their live stream. Live streaming changed the game.
Yeah, it really did.
That's like the new era right now. Like Kai Cenat's doing a subathon right now.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Well, and there's like TikTok Live, which is a whole other world also.
That's crushing it.
I mean, TikTok pushes it hard, but there's a lot of people that are making good money on TikTok Live.
Anytime I go on my TikTok, I see that Harry Sisson kid. He has like 10,000 views, and he just crushes it.
Like he's got like 10 to 15,000 live concurrent views, like at all hours of the day.
Yeah, all hours. It could be like midnight.
Yeah, even so, it'll be cool. It'll be interesting to see post-election if that keeps up, which I think it will.
It still has. I've been tuning in.
Really?
He's been on the show, and
he's very well spoken.
Well spoken, even though we disagree politically. But with the show, I try to have both sides on.
Yeah, I disagree with a lot of them politically, but I like that they're engaging in like, for the most part, good faith like debates. I think that's so important. And like this election cycle is crazy because the fact that Harris didn't go on all these podcasts. I mean, she should have. Even though I disagree with a lot of her policies, from an outsider perspective, it's like you gotta go on these shows.
These days, you have to.
Like Rogan, like the whole point of campaigning is to get votes. You need male votes. You're telling me you're not gonna go on Rogan?
Yeah.
Like what? It was just so stupid.
That was probably the biggest mistake she made because alternative media played a massive role this election.
Yeah, massive. And Trump and Vance knew that early on, or at least their teams did. I think Barron was the one who kept talking to him about it. But the fact that they did those rounds, I mean, Theo Vaughn, like people were making fun of him, but I'm like, dude, Theo's big.
Yeah. And it wasn't just them. Everyone on their team. Tulsi was going on shows. RFK was going on shows. Vivek. Like, it was a full team effort.
And Charlie and his team with what he did in Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean,
he probably won Arizona for them.
I think he probably did. Well, plus he got a lot of Gen Z like engaged.
Ton of them.
In a way that really broke down like logical first principle thinking.
Yep.
Because there's not a lot of examples of more conservative folks that can help people think. Because it's all clickbaity, but a lot of these topics you got to think for a little bit and talk about it for 5 minutes. And Charlie, you should have him. Has he been on here
I'd love to have him on. He was supposed to play here, but he's stuck at Mar-a-Lago. But
oh, really?
One of these days.
That's funny. That's funny. No, he's a force. But so who's going to run in 2028 then? Is it going to be Vance or Tulsi?
Yeah, you could actually bet on Polymarket, I think.
Already?
I think so, yeah. If I had to go now, it's early, but I would say Vance and Tulsi together would be cool.
Well, who would be...
on the Democrat side?
Is Tulsi as the VP for
Tulsi
Vance?
would be VP.
Okay, got it. I mean, that'd be amazing.
That'd be dope.
That'd be sick.
I don't know who the Democrats are going to put up next.
Well, I saw that survey that was like, as of today, everyone, like, who do you want for 2028? And a lot of the Dems, I think the number one was Harris right now.
What?
It was
They're still
Harris.
I would go Michelle over Harris.
If Michelle would do it, I mean, if Michelle went instead of Harris, that she might have won.
She would do better.
She would definitely have done better than Harris.
I think
Harris
so, too.
was not a great candidate, unfortunately.
You think it was her PR team up her ass, or do you think she just is
I think it was a combination. I think she's hard to work for. A lot of her team quits. I think she also feels uncomfortable and does not like being disliked, which is a really tough position to be in.
Right.
But I think that the Rogan thing was tough because I think her team probably knew it would not have played super well, even though Joe would have had a good faith.
He would have been neutral.
He would have been very neutral. But for her to say, you need to come to me, it's like, no, like, this is Joe.
When has Joe ever
You
done
need
that?
Joe way more than Joe needs you.
Yep.
But the thought of Joe doing it somewhere else and a different team having the edit and the footage, like, no.
No, it wouldn't be Rogan at that point.
It would not. Yeah, you can't do that.
He's known for the studio. Well, dude, it's been fun. Where can people keep up with you?
Yeah, just on Instagram, I'm at Warren Lentz, and my wife's at Kayla Barnes. We're a longevity couple. We're going to live to 150.
I love it.
So we're in our 30s now, going to live to 150, and we love life. On Twitter, on X as well, Warren Lentz. And dude, it's fun to be here.
Absolutely.